kind of carry the rest of the burden.
And that's how we're looking at OMG right now, is how does Icon perform and how does the rest of OMG facilitate each other? OMG is sitting 4-2 right now. They're sitting at 5th place. OMG haven't been this high in so damn long, so it's exciting to see if they can continue that run of form against V5, who are 0-6, a must-win to show that they're still one of the strongest up and coming.
For V5, it is kind of a sad story. You're finally getting your roster back together, but your strength of schedule is still quite hard. They haven't played teams like FPX, IG, RNG, Top. They have a really hard large mountain to climb ahead of them.
And they're still trying to find their form on the side of V5. They're still trying to find what their style is. They've messed around with draft in the past couple of series, but we're seeing something standard here. We're seeing emphasis on Y4 and Mole. We're seeing Xiaohan and Max back in this V5 roster as we head on to Summoner's Rift. So the roster we expected to see V5 start with, we're going to see what they can do after this big, long wait of getting back their support in jungle.
OMG using the strong level 1 pressure coming out from Tahm Kench and Zoe to get some deep vision. But just taking a step back and talking about V5 once again, because we came into the day not really expecting to talk much about Victory 5 because, again, they don't have the real roster. They are 0-6. This game should be an easy 2-0 for OMG. But seeing Victory 5 get their main roster back, of course it did lose to EDG in Week 1, but seeing a standard comp out of Victory 5 is very surprising.
It was a long time ago, though, right? Like, Week 1 to now, you were having this discussion as you joined us on the desk for your first week last Saturday, I believe. The conversation was that for Week 1 to now, it's like, what, 2 months?
Over 2 months now, it seems
2.5 months, yeah. It was a very long time ago. So what we take away from Week 1 has less value than recency, of course. And now, this feels like the first game of the split for V5 in a sense.
It really does. And kind of looking across the map, and we already talked about what both teams want to achieve. We expect to see a lot of ganks to the mid lane, Sejuani, Irelia, of course, being a huge combo.
Yep.
And Elise and Zoe, there is still a lot of bursts there. Icon will have pressure in this matchup in these first few levels. We see him building up the wave now. Will be interesting to see if he can set up a bounce back and call Hacker over and start setting Mole behind. And Mole will really come to his own later in the matchup, levels 3, 4, 5, 6, looking for the all-in potential.
You can see as well, Icon has taken Ignite into this lane, so the aggression there, while Mole opting in for the cleanse to survive the Sleepy Trouble Bubble trade, and also for Hacker. So a lot of utility out of that one summoner from the mid lane of V5.
A lot of utility coming out from Victory 5. It is good when you're facing something like an Elise, being able to just cleanse that cocoon.
Yeah.
And we did talk about seeing if Icon can pull the wave in, which if we look at the mini-map, it does look like he's trying to do. We just saw Hacker hover over there. This game will kind of start and end with the mid lane.
Because you can see junglers on opposite sides in their own Raptor camp. So very mirrored position, but an opportunity for Hacker here with the wave shoving into turret. He has finally cleared that camp away, set up for topside scuttle. Pings are going down while Mole now has the opportunity to roam and maybe shadow Xiaohan.
Neither team is really going to be able to find anything right now. When you are playing Aphelios Thresh against Senna Tahm Kench, Max will also have a lot of room to roam later on in this matchup. Aphelios will be fine just sitting in that bot lane by himself. So we want to see how does Max influence the map and influence this mid lane 2v2.
On a champion we're not accustomed to seeing him on. Remember that Max has been the Yuumi. You mentioned the Lux.
The Tahm Kench?
Yeah, the Tahm Kench as well. And while a couple of days ago when you and I did E-Star and IG, we were talking about two different types of supports. It was Nanny-style supports and Hitman-style supports is what we coined it. And Max, to me, does feel more like that Nanny style. The Thresh here, much like Southwind, here to protect and facilitate Y4. Maybe Xiaohan is as well.
Yep, we're going to wonder, maybe we see an aggressive flash play, lantern play coming out from Max. It isn't something we would typically see from him. Seems like they set it up, but didn't want to take the risk, maybe overcommit for something when they know it'd be very hard against a Senna Tahm Kench lane with full summoners.
Now, Lyric, I'm going to pause. Hang on, Mole. Good trade here onto Icon. But it's a Zoe. Doesn't trade right back, though. So Icon loses that trade heavily, and that's big. Hacker coming into the mid lane, but Mole backing away.
good trade coming out from Mole. We did talk about these are the levels where I can really start coming out ahead if her mechanics are on point. We've always known Mole as a very good mechanical player. All of his problems typically come with his decision-making and being too greedy, over-aggressing solo into the enemy jungle and getting picked off.
Past couple of series, especially SMLZ. Flayback here from Max is a double graviton from Y4. Good trading here from the bottom lane of V5, but SMLZ has the sustain, so does Cold through his grey health. Should be just fine.
We do have a pretty slow game going on right now. As the game scales up, I feel like you feel pretty good on the side of Victory 5 going into these later team fights where you do have something like a Sejuani to be a good frontliner compared to OMG, who just have this Elise, which is going to fall off after about 2 items.
Yep.
So OMG, we really want to see if they can get this snowball rolling. But even if it's not necessarily a snowball, if they can get ahead, they do have a lot of poke and siege potential between Senna, Zoe, GP, Elise. You have a lot of skill shots that you could throw out there and pressure these objectives.
Yeah, a lot of range to play with, actually, on the side of OMG. As Exhaust is going to come through. That was stolen away. Icon now level 6, so the portal jump gets a better trade onto Mole. 10 CS up in this lane, but you can see the wave building for Mole. He's trying to play aggressive just so he gets something. Good dodges, but mid lane definitely the place to be.
Another thing going back to kind of win conditions is it is always nice to have the Mordekaiser against something like a Tahm Kench. Of course, the Devour can't save you from that Death Realm.
Yeah.
But even though the comps do look slightly Victory 5 favored, again, coming into this, we should expect a relatively clean win from OMG. OMG have looked better and better each week. Their macro has been on point. Their team fighting has been very good. And Victory 5 are just coming into it, like you said, pretty much their first game, and they've had a lot of struggles this split so far.
And they've only picked up one individual win. That was against LNG. That was a singular game win, where they played some pretty crazy stuff towards the bottom side. Now, draw your attention to the trade that we saw in the mid lane. We saw Mole burn the cleanse early against Icon. So already OMG have a summoner advantage there. And they've also got pressure through mid, through bot after resetting. They've got the dragon in hand now too.
Nice job from OMG using their pressure from mid and noticing that V5 made the first reset to say, hey, we are going to use this opportunity to take a dragon. I would expect the map to just reset for now and, again, kind of slow down the pace until maybe we can find a pick in the mid lane.
It's also what Gangplank brings to the table, right? Whenever you look for global plays, you say, all right, does the enemy top laner have TP? No, I don't either, but I have a cannon barrage, so it's essentially like 4.5 versus 4.
It is one of the strengths of GP, so nice job of OMG noticing, hey, we have this global pressure from the GP. We can take this dragon freely. And Xiaohan now looking for a mid lane gank like we wanted him to do.
But Icon's playing it super safe. Reserved at his turret. And look at where FLICKR is. Now, he doesn't need level 6. You know, all it's going to influence is the spider. But Xiaohan with ult available might mean something as the invade begins.
This is the most coordinated Victory 5 have looked all split.
Yes.
And we know they've had a lot of good early games so far, but they've pretty much all in on snowballing in previous drafts, ignoring a lot of meta and power picks, but they didn't do that this game, and they're looking to use their pressure from topside right now with the wave pushing in for Alias to try and influence this Rift Herald, and we do see Y4 and Max roaming up before OMG's bot lane.
But is the decision going to go through? Pings are coming down now, but Y4's heading back to bot. He wants to match for CS. I think it's more the threat from Max. They know that, okay, we have 3 people here. It's already dead. And so they're not going to commit to the lane swap yet.
This is a great call coming out from Victory 5. You don't need to overcommit too many members for this objective. You notice by the fact that OMG's bot lane is not rotating themselves that they are conceding the objective. So V5 are in a really good spot, not something we expected coming into this game.
Y4 and Max just received the bottom lane. Not too much CS missed as well. BF sword picked up, by the way, on Y4. Which in this lane means SMLZ staying going to mean a little bit less pickaxe for him too. I want to draw your attention towards the top side of the map where we have a Seekers, where we have a Sheen, and we have a fight in the mid lane. Xiaohan is in the perfect position. That cannon barrage we're talking about, though, comes into play. The center ulti gives the shield, though. Mole dies to first blood as FLICKR will get the trade in the end of the day. That's Xiaohan, excuse me, onto Icon. A 1-for-1, but first blood over to OMG.
1-for-1, and even though we set up that Victory 5 straight 2v2 is superior, we do see the global tools coming out from OMG. Nice ultimate coming out from SMLZ and Curse. 1-for-1, though, you feel good on the side of Victory 5. They just wasted 4 tools for you to end up with a 1-for-1.
And that's right. You put a bit of gold on the Sejuani too, and Mole doesn't miss out on too much in the wave. both of the mid laners die. The wave resets, and hang on a minute. Alia's here onto Curse, but doesn't want to use the ult because Orange still available here for the GP. It's a half health for half health trade. It's no teleport available, so Curse will be walking the lane.
Alia's looking for that aggression because Curse used the cannon barrage, but of course, as long as that Orange is available, really doesn't have too much solo kill potential onto Curse.
Okay, replay time. It was a bloody 2v2 that escalated with OMG's blow.
Good play coming out from Victory 5. We see the Vanguard's edge hit, and just again, very easy to find these kills from Sejuani's passive with melee champions. OMG having to burn a lot of ult to find a trade on the back end.
I do like that Icon actually flashed right next to the wall. So if Mole wanted to get the kill, he had to flash directly underneath the center ult.
Yep, very good play coming out from Icon on the end of that to make sure Mole had to blow that. But still, we did see in week 1, OMG would really struggle if they drafted comps that didn't have many pressure points to get on the map, which is kind of like the comp we see here. Again, not much you could do with Elise GP top, Elise Senna Tom Kench, same in the bot lane. Your only avenue is through mid, where you do lose the straight mid-jungle 2v2, and you do have to start blowing these global ultimates.
And now especially you have to take note of the fact that Xiaohan has the Cinder Hulk available. So first item complete. Runic Echoes on the side of Hacker as well, by the way. But if you're looking at Elise right now, you've got a Zoe mid you can play around with. So I'm still very curious in the next couple of minutes how the mid 2v2 starts moving towards the Dragon in 50 seconds.
True, Dragon coming up in 50 seconds. And another thing to keep your eye out on is where does Xiaohan use this Rift Herald? Again, he could use it mid, trying to get play gold on the Mole, but maybe you'd want to put it in the bot lane, because if you use it mid, of course, Cold can always look to follow with that Abyssal Voyage and maybe stop the push coming in from Victory 5.
Well, the wave pushing against them for now, and he's just going to use the Rift Herald to get an accelerated back. That was a quick take of the Scuttle Crab, and nicely done to get out with the help of Max's Lantern. And before we're talking a little bit about V5 and their first real game back, essentially, with this roster. When you're coming back as a player, I don't know, Lyric, you might want to elaborate on this. Max and Xiaohan, it's like, we're back. We want to show we're the superior players. We want to make this stage game look like we deserve to be here and that we are the key ingredient to V5.
The best part about it for Victory 5 is once you've gone 0-6 with this other roster, it really is kind of a mental reset. You can take a step back, take a deep breath, and say, hey, we have our main force here. Let's, it's just a very easy mental switch.
And it's a force that has been in the LPL before. Max and Xiaohan last year on different rosters. As Herald is going to be dropped mid here, though, so it's not the bottom lane. It's against Icon while V5 start the Dragon.
Yep, V5 using this Herald. We did talk about it'd be nice if they can get play gold onto Mole. He is the carry in this team. You are doing everything to set him up, but also using that to create a tempo advantage for them to be able to start and take this Dragon.
Cleanest part so far of V5, and Max trying to showcase there, close to the hook on SMLZ. But Ocean Dragon picked up, resets into an Infernal Rift.
Infernal Rift, of course, Infernal Drake and Infernal Soul will be good for both teams. And we've been talking a lot about Victory 5's comp because, again, it is typically the one that would do very well scaling with things like the Sejuani and Irelia.
Yep.
But OMG will still have some avenues to play, especially with kiting back. GP, of course, does very well running back, gives him a lot more freedom to set up his barrels. Zoe, we already know those Sleepy Trouble Bubbles. Great poking champion. Senna, Tom Kench, again, also very good kiting duo. So if OMG can get a good team fight where they can kite back, there is still a chance for them to find a lead in this game.
And we've seen GPs in the LPL and compositions like this perform really, really well. I want to draw your attention to Curse's Trinity Force that he's had for about a minute and a half now. That's a 12-minute Trinity Force with the assist and the CS lead he's built up in lane.
Trinity Force, of course, a big spike on GP, but the more interesting thing to me to look at is SMLZ building the Manamune. We typically don't see Senna's go that route anymore.
True.
They really do think it's kind of too slow and prefer to go straight for that Umbral Glaive, which does give them more damage in the early game, and of course more utility with controlling vision.
Maybe it makes it hard for contesting around this next Dragon coming through for the side of OMG. First item being the Manamune. Deadman's Plate picked up here from Cold as his first item is the accelerated Tom Kench. We're still waiting for Icon to back. He should be sitting on quite a bit of gold at the moment. So only Sork shoes in hand. Icon level 11. and still sticking around in lane.
The thing to keep your eye on is we do see Rift Herald coming up soon, is which bot lane will posture for this. It did look like Max was starting to move up, but because OMG's bot lane is staying behind, maybe Victory 5 just decided to keep their bot lane here. But no, it does look like Y4 is heading up towards the Rift Herald, and they're going to say, hey, you can get the play gold on bot side. We want this Herald.
There was a Vanguard's Edge used mid. You all saw that, but you saw the flash from Icon burnt as well. Kill pressure starting to build up here from Mole, even without his first item. But with Y4 moving lanes, that means SMLZ and Cold just keep shoving pretty damn fast. They're going to match the turrets in the game.
Victory 5 were pretty slow on the rotation with bringing Alias down, so OMG still do end up getting the turret, which is nice. Of course, Rift Herald is just a means for you to get a turret, so if you can get the turret straight, it is pretty even.
Yeah, I said turret matching. That's first turret of the game, excuse me.
It
So
is.
OMG with a short gold lead here in the early game.
We should expect Victory 5 to be able to go up towards this top lane and pressure this tower if they want.
Okay.
We do see on the minimap, no one on OMG is on the top side of the map currently.
I guess you feel comfortable that you have a cannon barrage available. 2 minutes till Dragon. If Curse uses it on this upcoming wave, I think you're okay. What's the level 11 GP, level 2 ulti? Do you know the cooldown with Trinity Force of his ult? I'm going to assume it's not greater than 2 minutes at level 2 ulti with Trinity Force.
I'm not even going to
I'm
take
sorry,
a
it's
guess.
such a super specific question.
But we did just see the play that you set up, him using the cannon barrage, clearing out that wave, so Victory 5 weren't able to push the tower. So game 16 minutes in, gold is pretty even, but we've seen Mole putting a lot of pressure on Icon in the mid lane, which is what we want to see Victory 5's composition do.
We're going to see Mole in a very confident position. You said it yourself last couple of series. Mole's been constantly caught out. And Mole was the shining light of this team. Now that the roster is back together, I'm expecting Mole to be back to quality form that led this team into potential.
Mole looking much better this early game. We did see OMG try to set up, again, pull the wave into their side of the tower and set up a gank for Hacker, but Mole did play very safely in the early game. But still, OMG do have one dragon. They do have a one tower advantage.
Yep.
And we want to see if they can keep this motion going with their kind of superior vision and rotation. Just look at their control on the bot side of the map with Dragon coming up in 45 seconds.
So many wards placed down, and the GP getting hard to split against because he's got a BF sword, he's got another long sword, and he's got his boots now too. Having said that, V5 get the Herald charge in the mid lane, so getting some of that gold back in their pocket as they reset towards the Dragon in 30 seconds.
When OMG stayed bot, took that tower, and Victory 5 got the Rift Herald, we did say it would end up probably being a one-for-one trade in turrets. We did expect them to be able to force down a turret, especially mid where they had already used the previous Rift Herald.
Yeah, it takes two to tango apparently with that turret. And draw your attention, Mole hasn't gone for Blade of the Ruin King as the first item we've seen with Aurelia's in 10.5. It's a Black Cleaver first with the Vampiric Scepter in hand. So we're about to fight in front of Dragon, and Mole's relying on this spike of the 20% CDR plus the extra damage to take on the fight.
We have seen all Irelia's. Let's slow it down.
Hang on, yeah, look, Xiaohan's going to be called out here, tangled up by the center W and V5 group mid instead.
Both teams right now just posturing for Dragon. Again, what we want to see in this Dragon fight is it really comes down to, can Xiaohan and Mole get onto the back line? Can Elias really get a good Death Realm off and kind of separate either SMLZ or Icon from their team?
I want to see what Curse does with this ultimate available as well. He's pretty close to an IE, by the way. Curse going a super aggressive build. Doesn't have the TP, but is in the bottom side, just waiting for something to happen, waiting to catch this wave.
Seems like Victory 5 don't want to walk into the bot side river where OMG do control vision. There's a lot of danger there from that poke that we set up from the side of OMG. If you get hit by something like a cocoon or a sleepy trouble bubble, could be very easy for OMG to burst someone down from Victory 5.
I mean, they've just given up this Dragon. Look, Mole's in the top lane. He doesn't have TP, so he's committing to the turret, the gold trade here to try and slow this game down. But Infernal is Infernal. Stats are stats. And OMG have got the second Dragon of the game.
And once again, the cannon barrage being used to stop the turret push, but still, Victory 5 are the ones with all the pressure and vision in the top side jungle, so they still should be able to pressure Icon off this turret and take it relatively easily.
It's still pretty impressive from V5. I mean, at the end of the day, V5, this is showing control. A team that showed absolutely none past the 15-minute point in previous series.
We've been talking a lot about Victory 5, but it is just because of the change in draft, in style, in pace of play that they're showing us this game. OMG, too, taking it a lot slower than we typically see is kind of because of the champions that they've drafted. Is a lot harder to find these windows. We have seen them playing kind of a comp that takes a lot of finesse, very beautifully, though. Getting vision first, playing around the threat of pick potential, and them just kind of trading objectives.
And at this point as well, after picking up the Infernal, the back comes through once again. Essence Reaver picked up by Curse here. A level 13 GP pre-20-minute mark with 2 items and a Cloak of Agility. And plus a Zoe, Icon's got himself a Luden's Echo. And look, the beer says 0% something. And V5's on that side. I don't know what the confidence play is here, but...
My guess would probably be fan vote.
Oh, that's true. Oh, Alias, though. Bit low after the redemption. Mole with a good shadow here. Just making sure no one's trying to dive. But because of that, because of the burst, Icon's going to get this turret in the top side. OMG even it up back again. Still ahead by 1,500 gold.
We've seen OMG using their pressure really well. We saw Curse make his way towards the mid lane as FLICKR headed up towards the top side, which did pressure Alias off that top turret. And you already mentioned Curse's build. In these team fights...
Hang on, yeah, Vanguard's there. It's going to be cleansed away from the Troll Ball, but Hacker's here as well. The Ignite goes down, Mole at half health. Hacker jumps on in. Xiaohan tries to save his mid, but it's way too late. The Glacial Prison wears off, and Hacker heals from the redemption that Icon gains. Alias tries to come in. Death Realm a little bit late onto Hacker, but repel into the air to buy some time while Xiaohan is getting bullied, but the flash away Max. You beauty! Mole comes on back in, or rather that's Icon on the Zoe this time around. The hook comes through as well, but Senna joins the fray. OMG are taking this fight, and Icon to go golden at the last minute means he will survive, thanks to Cold as well. SMLZ back on this roster helps so much, and OMG take a long, slow fight in their favor.
We talked about Mole's mechanics, but also talked about the downsides with his decision-making. The coordination just wasn't there from Victory 5. Mole went in a bit too early before his teammates could arrive, and we just saw how disgusting the global pressure from OMG is. We're able to throw out all those global ultimates, pick off Mole early, and then come out ahead in that fight with a numbers advantage.
You thought V5 cut their losses at the end of that play, but we're not done yet. Alias is walking in. He doesn't have the ultimate available. Baron will go down to OMG. Just about a 6,000 gold lead. Xiaohan has to back off in the end. And now it's business only from Oh My God.
We just see here, Mole goes in a bit too early. Hacker is already here. Xiaohan's hasn't even arrived yet. The TP from Alias coming out too late. He TP's in by the time Mole is already dead. But you have so much global pressure from the side of OMG. It was very easy for them to get this pick, and on the back end of the fight, great flash lantern coming out from Max. And that's all she wrote.
Unfortunately, the trouble bubble. And by the way, when you hook a Zoe with Battlestar, she can still press Q to bring it all the way forward. So that's rough. And then from there, fight's done. And now questions about the game, because for V5, that control we saw is gone after a really good play from OMG.
We did talk about the great things coming out from Victory 5 in the early game and in the draft, but we did also set up OMG are pretty much a superior in most ways when it comes to coordination, decision-making, team fighting, and they've showed it this game. They've done very well on the rotations. They've done very well using their tempo, using their vision and their pressure to force Victory 5 off objectives that they should be able to contest for.
Especially in that last fight. I mean, Hacker just delayed so much time with Alias. Hacker now 3-0, and Icon may only be 1-1-3, but he's got 2 items, and now Max realizes that he's going to have to back off. Mid-turret looks like it's just going to be taken down, and Vision with it as well.
When you have something like a poke and siege comp, when it's ahead, it is so oppressive when you can control Vision, really abuse these choke points, especially something like a Zoe. It will be extremely hard for Victory 5 to defend, and they need to hope that they can find an all-in engage before getting whittled down.
That's what Xiaohan's trying to do. He pops the stone plate, but the cannon barrage goes right in front. Look at this, the poke coming through from Icon. The FLICKR Assault does its damage because Season 10 says so. But the problem is he only has 2 items, and he's not big enough just yet. Get forced away by that. They don't get the turret, but OMG can walk towards this dragon.
Just insane amount of poke damage coming out from OMG. We we just saw Victory 5 try and get a straight front-to-back engage, but it is too hard, especially against the disengaged tools you have coming out from OMG, Sleepy Trouble Bubble, Cocoon, the Root coming in from Senna. It is very hard unless someone like Mole or Alias can come in with a flank.
You realize that in this team, everyone either has a slow or a Root. Or a stun, I should say. So it's pretty damn oppressive here for V5. And OMG just using this GP well. Now, we haven't talked too much about Curse apart from his ult. But Curse has just been farming away, and this is what I love about GPs in the LPL. We're such an aggressive region where we split push and we fight. And Curse has been doing that just fine this game.
Curse has been doing his job. All he really needs to do is use those cannon barrages on point. And OMG been playing this out so well. Leave Curse in the bot lane, group his 4, get this siege off in the mid lane. What we want to see from Victory 5 is for them, like this, have Mole push out a side lane, bring him in on a flank, and coordinate your engage.
Well, there we go. Vanguard's Edge on top of the Glacial Prison that was used before. Colt saves the life of his AD carry, but SMLZ can turn this around. The Dawning Shadow does its due diligence, and OMG do as well. Cold lives after all that. Well played by the Tom Catch.
OMG are just so far ahead at this point. We do see that they are 8K gold in the lead. We talked about that for Victory 5 really to come out ahead in these fights when they're behind. We really need to see Alias be able to separate someone into the death realm where that Devour can't save them. But still, he wasn't there. Great Devour coming out from Cold, and OMG come out ahead once again.
It's just so damn clean from OMG at the moment. That's why we're singing their praises. And as the Cannon Barrage comes on down, OMG are looking to make Brazil a reality once again. Double Gravitum there. Max won't land the hook. And now after the inhibitor run away, look at Y4. Holy dear. Reverse order of that skill, and Icon gets another.
For OMG too, they have the harder comp to execute in this game. When you look at the side of Victory 5, we've talked about in LPL, typically the simpler execution comes out ahead. We do see Victory 5 trying to execute on the play they want, but Alias is not here yet with that Death Realm. We talked about the damage coming out from the poke on OMG side is just too much right now. Great barrels from Curse, great Devour coming out from Cold, and that damage is just too high.
We talked heavily about Curse and Hacker in the, what they can achieve in the early game, but even when they fight, like further to your point when we're in pick and ban, the ability for OMG to fight and their coordination through team fighting has just been so exemplary recently. Now, Hacker might be called out here with the rest of V5. Max is coming in as well, but Cold looking to save his jungler. Might be called out himself. Death Sentence's going to land. The box goes down. Cold has the grey health, but now SMLZ's here too. They can't kill the Tahm Kench, and Y4 misses his ulti. V5 have to back away because now OMG are grouping up again.
Good cheeky pick attempt coming out from Victory 5, but OMG are able to back off. And we've seen Icon on this silly before. That game that sticks out in my mind is the one against BLG where he was just so far ahead.
It's games like this where you remember why Icon has been, on this team for so long, why OMG have held on to Icon, but also why people in the past have talked about Icon being a top-tier mid-lane talent, even though he's shifted between rankings in the past couple of years.
Yep, and just kind of going back to a point we were making a few moments ago.
Well, you have time. Ignite's available. Ready? Pull him into the Death Realm. Yeah, that's what you want. 1v1 with Icon.
He actually can't do it.
Oh, no. Yeah, wait for it, and Alias is dead. Okay. Icon wins that one out pretty easily, and we got the 7-1.
We even see Alias going more towards that build that really wants to one-shot the backline by rushing that Proto Belt, so you can Proto Belt in, get that Death Realm off, and then, again, get that 1v1 and let your team win the 4v4, but this game looks like it might already be over.
I think it might be. You got a 5 versus 4, and OMG are channeling into the base. This one felt over after that big fight in the top lane as Max takes the burst, Y4 dodges the bubble, and OMG, after a 2-man flawless duet, still don't care. Look at Hacker in the mid lane. He's pulling the minion wave in, and Y4, they're going to rely on his wave clip.
And we just see what OMG's composition can do when it can set up in front of you freely. They don't have to be afraid of any flanks. They are able to just throw out all of their skill shot-based damage. And again, the point we were trying to touch on was this comp is harder to execute. They have less avenues to play around in the early game.
Yeah.
And if you fall behind as a poke comp, it is very hard to get back into the game because, again, you need to be ahead. You need to have the push to set up the vision to be able to threaten these picks.
Yeah, because if you don't do damage, you don't do anything. So for OMG, the risk was there. But again, that's why we talk the talk with OMG at the moment, saying that they are looking like a top-tier team. We had this discussion on air. I think it was during E-Star and IG. As we finished that series, we asked the question of who else is joining the top rankings. Now, OMG don't feel like they're up there with FPX and, you know, IG, E-Star at the moment, maybe even JDG in that discussion, but they feel pretty close.
The exciting thing for OMG fans is, again, they look better and better each series.
I'm going to pause you for a second. I'm sorry, I took us there, but V5 took us to Barret. Teleport's going to come out. Cold is a Wraith right now. They're like, who's that? It's a Tahm Kench while Infernal Rift is secured. Here comes the Cannon Barrage, and you know what's also great on poke comms? More burst. You know what OMG have right now? An Infernal Soul. Y4 and Max running for their lives. The rest of E5 are in a choke. Icon is racing here as well with Flash at level 16. Curse gets pulled back in, eaten back out. The poke comes through. The Dawning Shadow puts them to half. Zoe forces the flash, and look, OMG know they've won this. It's just about when. Hacker comes in for the flank at V5. Oh no! It's like Saw 3, and they're cutting off the limbs of E5. They don't even let them do it themselves. This puppy's over.
Great fight coming out from OMG. They are just going to keep up this momentum. Coming out with a really clean win against Victory 5 is, again, a statement game going into the rest of the split.
It's a statement because V5, it wasn't like they played super sloppy. OMG just delivered them on a platter.